You've never seen a vampire like this before. The boy who couldn't sleep after staying up too many nights decided to go out for a walk and unexpectedly got picked up by a mysterious vampire girl, who then took him back to her room. The poor guy was absolutely terrified. He tried to explain that he was still innocent, but the girl didn't give him a chance to speak. Without hesitation, she began taking off her cloak and clothes and boldly invited him in. The male lead is a high school student, known for being excellent in academics and well-mannered. He gets along well with his classmates, and on the surface, his life seems just fine. But deep inside, he always feels like something is missing. One day, a girl who secretly liked him confessed her feelings, but he couldn't understand romantic emotions, so he rejected her, which then brought her best friend to his doorstep, causing trouble. Since that moment, he began to feel annoyed by everything around him. After several sleepless nights, he decided for the first time to sneak out of the house at night. As he walked through the beautiful night, everything felt enchanting. The long-lost feeling of comfort warmed his heart, but the freedom of the night soon turned boring. So he wandered through alleyways trying to find solutions for insomnia online. But no matter where he looked, it all circled back to the number 9. You see, minors in his world weren't allowed to drink alcohol. Just then, a nearby vending machine lit up strangely, stirring something inside him. But just 0.001 seconds before he pressed the button, fate interrupted. Caught red-handed trying to buy a forbidden drink, he instinctively ran away, only to be caught immediately by the same girl. She casually claimed to have done this many times, while the boy desperately tried to talk his way out of it. But the girl had no intention of reporting him. Instead, she pulled off his hat and he stared at her in confusion. He ended up walking behind her as she spoke about why people stay up late. Was it because of a TV show or just inner restlessness? She dismissed those reasons and said it's actually because people find no beauty in their daytime lives. Then she pointed to 3 drunk men nearby, all sleeping soundly with satisfied smiles. She greeted them cheerfully, even clapped hands with them one by one. The boy thought they were acquaintances, but it turned out she didn't know them at all. Shocked, he asked why she was so friendly with strangers, and she gave him a bold answer that made him pause and think. The next moment, she took off running as if trying to escape something, saying she too wanted freedom, tired of always feeling exhausted. When she caught up with the drunkards again, they ended up dragging her across the ground. Later, the two of them strolled through the streets. After a while, the girl asked if he was getting sleepy, and when he casually said yes, she invited him to her home. In the elevator, she claimed to be a specialist in treating insomnia. The boy assumed she was some kind of sleep consultant, which comforted him. But as the door opened, all he saw was a bed, a pillow, and a box of tissues. Before he could react, the girl told him to lie down and began undressing. That's when he remembered a warning he saw online: boys must protect themselves out there. Realizing the danger, he tried to escape, but unsurprisingly, she stopped him again. Though he knew she was odd, he still obediently lay down. Strangely, lying beside her made him feel at peace. He decided to close his eyes and pretend to sleep, planning to sneak back home later. As she watched him lying still, the girl slowly sat up and cautiously tested if he was asleep. When he didn't respond, she knew the time had come. Her eyes suddenly turned cold, and sensing something off, the boy dared not move. The girl crept closer step by step, her sharp gaze piercing. After drinking his blood, her pupils dilated and she began to tremble. She had never tasted blood this delicious before. Meanwhile, the boy, who had been pretending to sleep, slowly sat up. She was shocked to see him awake and tried to cover up, claiming it was just a mosquito bite. But with blood still on her lips, he clearly didn't buy that excuse. She had no choice but to admit she was a vampire. So, does that mean he would turn into one too? But nothing happened. The boy felt a bit disappointed and wondered why he didn't change. The girl explained that for vampires, drinking blood is just like eating food. If every meal turned someone into a vampire, they'd starve to death. Turning into a vampire only happens when someone falls in love with a vampire first. Oh, huh? Wait, what? Why are you blushing? To break the awkwardness, they went to a park where the girl downed a whole bottle of beer and explained again, a person has to fall in love with a vampire and then let them drink their blood. After saying this, she blushed deeply. Who would have thought that this seductive girl would be so shy about love? She asked the boy why he seemed unwilling, and he sat down to share his own story. But just then, the girl started floating into the air. She wanted to know how he felt about their first encounter, about stepping away from ordinary life. In this dazzling night, it was the furthest she had ever gone from the world she once knew. The distance between them was growing, and if they didn't continue, wouldn't that be a waste? Just a few words shocked the boy's heart. Yes, during the day, she was always pretending, but now, this was the real her. And since she'd already experienced the taste of a passionate kiss, didn't that count as a silent confession? The girl's face turned bright red, and seeing the boy's serious expression, she didn't reject him, but firmly told him, I can only be responsible for fun. If you fall in love with me, that's your freedom. So from that moment, the boy made it his nightly mission to find the little vampire girl, show his neck just like before, and let her feed. But to a vampire, that kind of gesture wasn't any different from seduction. She scolded the boy for being too forward while he stood there confused, feeling like her reaction was kind of gross. She explained, this kind of thing needed sincerity. This was already the third night the boy had snuck out, but since he forgot the time and place they agreed on yesterday, he had no choice but to wander aimlessly looking for her. After searching for a while, they finally met, and seeing how casual she acted, the boy burst in anger, yelling about how hard he tried to find her. She just laughed and said she had gone to look for another meal ticket. That made the boy furious, mocking her for being shameless, but she brushed it off off? After all, vampires just see blood as food, like humans eat both bread and rice. But the boy clearly remembered she once said drinking blood was as intimate as making love. Then he remembered the real reason he came. Since finding her every time took so long, he suggested exchanging contact info. But she said she didn't have a phone, which shocked him. How could anyone survive today without a phone? Suddenly, she remembered an old phone at home and they went back. After rummaging through her stuff, out came a huge 1970s brick phone. Whether it still worked or not was another issue, but carrying that thing around would definitely be a hassle. So the idea of exchanging contact info failed. As they chatted, she just lay down and went to sleep. Same familiar setup, same familiar mood. The atmosphere was just right, and she couldn't wait to feast, but this time the boy hesitated. He was still upset about her trying to find a substitute the night before. Since drinking blood didn't turn him into a vampire anyway, he said she might as well go find someone else. Didn't she say that was easy? Seeing him jealous, she tried to comfort him, leaning closer, saying it's easy to find someone with a tastier heart than his. After that, the boy didn't resist anymore and offered his neck again. As they opened up to each other, the boy's unease melted away, and watching her fall asleep beside him, he realized it wasn't just about the taste of his blood, they were truly connected. The next day, with no way to contact her, he once again wandered, searching without success. Just when he was about to give up, she slowly descended from the sky. She had been looking for him too. This time, the boy came prepared, with a wristwatch walkie-talkie. She found it fascinating, saying it looked fun, but also teased him. You don't even have friends. Who are you gonna talk to? The boy explained that he had no friends, but that didn't stop him from making his own fun. As a kid, he bought 2 walkie-talkies on impulse. Since he had no one to talk to, he came up with a genius idea. Hide one of them somewhere and wait for someone to find it. If they replied, it would be like talking across space, but he waited forever and heard nothing. When he went back to retrieve it, the walkie-talkie was gone. He tried calling it again, but never got a response, so he locked the other one in a drawer. His dark past brought a smile to the girl's face, but he wasn't done. He brought the old walkie-talkie with him today. Joking aside, she finally agreed to wear the new one, and they prepared to test it. After she flew off, the boy found himself alone again, but it felt different from before. Unlike the helpless loneliness of searching like a lost fly, he realized being alone didn't make him sad. In fact, it was being surrounded by people that made him feel most lonely. Staring at the walkie-talkie, he began to reflect. He hadn't had a normal conversation in a long time. Nervously, he pressed the button, and hearing her voice, they began an encrypted conversation, laughing and playing without care. It felt like they were just a new couple starting out. That comment made the girl blush again. Then she hugged him and took him flying through the night sky, enjoying the magic of the stars together. Night always had a special charm, just like the way you appear in the eyes of someone who loves you. Eventually, they landed on the school rooftop. The school, empty and silent, looked completely different at night. Even the place he hated didn't seem so bad anymore. After saying that, the girl opened her mouth wide and bit down again, still as delicious as ever. Wanting to get closer, the boy decided to stop calling her Miss Vampire and instead just Xiaoji, Little Chicken. Since she didn't have many friends either, being called by that nickname made her blush instantly. Slowly, the boy began to see that even though she joked around a lot, she was surprisingly innocent at heart. But happy nights are always short. The sky was already turning light, and the girl vanished into the darkness once more. On his way home, the boy began to wonder who had taken that walkie-talkie from his childhood. Then, a girl named Amin appeared. She was his childhood friend. Back then, he had been quiet and antisocial, and maybe the only person who cared for him was Amin. But as they grew older, they lost contact. He thought they weren't friends anymore, but when Amin saw he hadn't been coming to school lately, she tried to reach him, using that same walkie-talkie. The boy pressed the button to call, not knowing who might respond, and got startled when someone did. But what truly shocked him was realizing that the walkie-talkie was in Amin's hands. It turned out the mailbox where he had hidden the device back then was actually part of Amin's house, and she had misunderstood it as a special gift from him. So she had treasured it and kept it with her all these years. Wanting to protect this only friendship he had, the boy never corrected the misunderstanding. But now, he noticed Amin was wearing a school uniform, and though he assumed she'd just gotten home, it was already 4 a.m. She explained she woke up early every day to take a walk at this time before heading to school. After chatting for a bit, they parted ways. The boy immediately rushed to the vampire girl's place and used the walkie-talkie to tell her he might have made a friend. But to his surprise, the half-asleep girl replied coldly, "Too few," and abruptly ended the call. From that day on, every time the boy finished spending time with her, he would deliberately leave earlier than before, and of course, this didn't go unnoticed. She observed how he left right after they were done and thought, so we really are just a physical relationship. This casual probe made the boy panic and fumble over his words, trying to cover it up with a terrible lie, but then ran off in embarrassment. In reality, when he met Amin, they didn't talk much either. They just sat quietly together. The boy stared at her, thinking she might be bored being with someone like him, but she openly said she enjoyed spending time with him. This made the boy start overthinking, wondering, could she be falling for me? At that moment, he noticed a shadow not far away, and sure enough, it was the vampire girl. This felt like a death sentence. Amin was confused, but the boy was in full panic mode. The vampire girl slowly approached, and the boy's mind raced with thousands of possible deaths. Though she didn't say anything yet, those who've been in relationships knew this was the most dangerous this moment. Amin asked, "Is she a friend of yours?" But before the boy could answer, the vampire girl cut in and said, "We're just in a physical relationship." Amin was stunned, thinking he had gone bad. Watching how familiar they were with each other, she asked if the vampire girl had feelings for him. That question made the vampire girl blush. "Since you don't believe we're only physical, let me show you live," she declared, and drained the boy right there, leaving him pale and weak. Amin's brain short-circuited, and she asked who the vampire girl really was. The three of them then went to a cafe, where Amin grilled the boy with soul-piercing questions. "Do you do this often? Is this why you don't come to school? Why don't you go to class?" Before he could answer, she asked him to come back to school with her. Faced with his childhood friend, the boy started to waver. The vampire girl interrupted, questioning the value of school, saying, "Out here, you need power and background. Which gang are you with?" That pissed Amin off, and she called the vampire girl a monster. Surprisingly, the vampire girl found Amin amusing. To stop the fight, the boy explained that although he'd tried hard at school, nothing felt right anymore, and he didn't know how to deal with people. Amin said she felt the same. School and home were equally dull, and she couldn't tell who her real friends were anymore. But she was truly happy to see him again. She encouraged him again to return to school, and seeing her trying to win him back, the vampire girl couldn't sit still. "You say you care, but where were you all this time? Why didn't you ever reach out?" she snapped, seeing through Amin's act. Then she slammed her drink down and left. Realizing the vampire girl was angry, the boy quickly chased after her, talking nonstop along the way. She eventually flew off, leaving him standing there confused. He wandered the streets all night, searching from dusk till dawn, thinking only of her. Distracted, he tripped and face-planted on the pavement, almost breaking his teeth, but thankfully it was just a bit of blood from his tongue. That's when he remembered the walkie-talkie in his hand and decided to try his luck. To his surprise, she was nearby. Finally, the shy boy learned how to apologize. But the vampire girl wasn't mad about him seeing a friend. She was upset because he hadn't answered Amin clearly when she asked him to come back to school. Suddenly, the vampire girl appeared in front of him and teased, "Our relationship is already serious enough to need a makeup talk?" She had just been feeling a little annoyed that he couldn't give a clear answer. Realizing this, the boy said he could never return to school, not because he didn't want to, but because he hadn't figured out how to explain everything to his human friends. Understanding this, the vampire girl smiled and instantly forgave him. Then she noticed blood on the corner of his mouth and, without waiting for him to explain, gently lifted his chin and kissed it clean, disinfecting the wound with her lips. After her little feast, she flew off again, leaving the boy stunned. That night, like always, the boy quietly snuck out to enjoy the nightlife. But as memories of the deep, emotional moment with the vampire girl flashed back, his heart was in chaos. He didn't know how to face her, and of course, that was the exact night she was easier to find than ever. At that moment, the boy needed some time to think, so he deliberately walked in the opposite direction. On the way, he ran into the same drunk uncles from before, and following their gaze, he saw a couple sweetly showing off their affection. Witnessing this public display of love struck him like lightning. He suddenly realized that kissing was something couples did, something shared only between people who were in love. That meant he must be in love with Xiaoji. Just the thought made him so excited. Maybe tonight he'd finally become a vampire. The others thought he was joking, but his face was dead serious. Seeing this, Xiaoji didn't say much and just told him to come closer. But after drinking his blood again, the boy was left disappointed when nothing happened. He looked at Xiaoji and asked why he hadn't transformed into a vampire. Xiaoji bluntly replied that it was because he didn't truly love her. He had mistaken the thrill of a kiss for love. It was just hormones acting up. Then, stroking his face, Xiaoji teased, "If you like it, should we do it again?" But the boy, growing jealous, asked if she had done this with many others before. Surprisingly, Xiaoji said this was her first time. The boy was stunned. "You gave your first kiss just like that?" But Xiaoji genuinely believed kisses were something even friends could share. Faced with her innocent mindset, the boy was at a loss for words. Meanwhile, Amin had been distracted lately, waking up early even after sleeping early. Wanting to clear her head, she went for a walk, only to bump into the boy on his way home. After learning that Amin planned to stay awake until school, he invited her over to Xiaoji's place to experience his nightlife. It turned out his nightlife involved playing video games with Xiaoji, intensely passionate gaming, to be precise. Amin soon realized, wait, so this is what they do for fun? Win a round and you get a kiss? The boy panicked, saying that wasn't true and that the vampire was making things up. Then Xiaoji dug through a box and pulled out a dating simulation game cartridge. In the game, 3 different girls tried to persuade the boy to go to school, but true to his reclusive nature, he chose not to go. Later, he accidentally bumped into a girl wearing a very short skirt and large proportions. He muttered that with such a wide road, how did she still manage to bump into him? The girl quickly apologized and walked away. The boy admitted he liked elegant types like her, but Xiaoji argued that he really preferred plain girls. After 2 years of such debates, Amin's little heart finally felt at ease. At first, when the boy said he had a nightlife, she thought he was up to something shady, but it turned out to be harmless fun. Before they knew it, it was already 4 a.m. Xiaoji said it was time to sleep, but her home only had one carpet, so the 3 of them had no choice but to squeeze in and sleep together. Under that roof, Amin lay down, but couldn't fall asleep quickly. She thought of leaving for school early, but it started raining outside. Fate seemed to want her to stay. Xiaoji even drank blood in front of Amin, and the boy silently wiped away a tear. Xiaoji remarked that Amin was like seasoning. exciting. Her presence brought out a new flavor in the blood. Curious, Amin asked what was going on. The answer? Desire and consent. One wanted to drink, and the other didn't mind being bitten. Still, Amin had a lingering question. Why did the boy even want Xiao Ji to drink his blood? Faced with her sincere curiosity, the boy decided to reveal his bold reason. When he explained that being bitten could turn someone into a vampire, Amin was even more confused. Wasn't that dangerous? But before he could answer, a shy Xiao Ji quickly told him not to explain. Of course, that didn't work. He explained anyway. To become a vampire, you had to fall in love with Xiao Ji. Hearing this, she blushed and buried her face in the bed as usual. Though she always talked a big game, she got unbearably shy when it came to love. The three of them lay down again, but this time Amin felt a strange sense of peace. After Xiao Ji had fallen asleep, the boy told Amin he was glad she got to see how he spent his nights. It felt like she genuinely cared about him. She asked if he'd been happy lately, and hearing his firm yes, she smiled. Then she noticed the boy was hugging his own arms and told him to relax. It was okay if he accidentally touched her. The boy blushed instantly. In the end, Amin didn't care whether he turned into a vampire or not. Friends were still friends. That acknowledgement lifted a huge weight off his shoulders. With hearts open and peaceful, Amin closed her eyes to rest. As morning came, the boy rushed to get ready for school. Xiao Ji was already waiting by the door. She had a question for Amin. That day, Xiao Ji had woken up too early, so she passed time playing games. But her luck was awful, and she lost points in ranked mode. She also loved online shopping, but when she got to the delivery station, her parcel had already been returned since no one received it. Heartbroken, she returned home and realized it was only 8 p.m. Bored, she watched TV but soon remembered she was a vampire. She couldn't keep being a shut-in. The night was meant for adventure. With that thought, she ventured into the crowd. The gloomy faces around her didn't make sense. Why did humans look so grumpy? Then she spotted a fat cat. With the cat's permission, she started petting it. Girls and cats? Unstoppable combo. But afterwards, she sniffed her hand and nearly fainted from the smell. Luckily, she found a late-night breakfast shop and ordered a special meal called Royal Pool Rice. Xiao Ji had just ordered a meal set, and afraid of missing a message from the boy, she asked the restaurant owner to let her know if the walkie-talkie went off. With her long hair down, Xiao Ji looked incredibly cool, but she was secretly troubled. Being a vampire, she couldn't see her reflection in the mirror, so she didn't know whether she looked good enough to meet the boy. Right then, the walkie-talkie buzzed. She grabbed it and rushed out. The boy saw this side of Xiao Ji for the first time and clearly felt a flutter in his heart. Since Xiao Ji had dashed out in the middle of her bath, the boy followed her to the bathhouse. It was his first time in a place like that. Although it was relaxing, it also made him think about some troubling things. He didn't want to overthink or face them, but being with Xiao Ji stirred up a mix of emotions inside him. Even happiness felt mentally exhausting. When he came out, Xiao Ji was already waiting. Unable to resist, he leaned close to this different version of her, feeling oddly excited. But having such messy feelings toward a friend felt shameful to him. Trying to regain control, he asked her to quickly drink his blood. From his past experiences, he knew that being bitten helped in two ways. It calmed his mind and helped him figure out whether he was in love. Since he had never loved anyone before, he didn't know what love was. Getting bitten was the best way to confirm it. If he truly loved Xiao Ji, he would turn into a vampire and fulfill his wish. Facing this tasty offer, Xiao Ji had no reason to refuse, especially since she was a little hungry. She bit down hard, making him cry out in pain, but at the same time it washed away all his worries. So this was the meaning of pain mixed with joy. After that, the boy pointed to a nearby inn where they could rest, but to his horror, it turned out to be a love hotel. Xiao Ji suddenly jumped in front of him, having already read his thoughts. Apparently, she could sense what he was thinking by the taste of his blood. The boy confessed he didn't like thinking that way about a friend. It wasn't pure. But Xiao Ji didn't mind. After all, it was nightlife. Why be pure? Plus, these conflicted feelings added flavor to the blood, and she looked forward to tasting even more emotions in the future. The two of them headed to an overpass to watch pedestrians. The boy remembered Xiao Ji once said his blood tasted special, which meant she must have tasted many kinds before. Though he was curious, he didn't ask. Then Xiao Ji casually said she had drunk the blood of that drunk uncle before. The boy instantly became jealous. Sensing it, Xiao Ji patted his head and explained she also drank women's blood in the past, but now she only drank his. The boy asked, "So before, it was all men? Were you posing as some creepy pervert?" But Xiao Ji insisted her work was legit and even pulled out a price list. As compensation for the boy's free donations, she offered him a free item from the menu. He picked a massage session. To make blood drinking more efficient and safe, Xiao Ji had actually studied professional massage techniques and energy channels. Her tiger-like skills quickly put him at ease. Just as she was about to start biting, the doorbell rang. Xiao Ji looked and saw it was a frequent massage customer. Having just finished a session with the boy, Xiao Ji said she was too tired to take another client and sent the boy to handle it. The client's name was Bai He Qingcheng, a magazine editor. His job was decent, but the constant company drinking parties were exhausting. To keep his boss from knowing his address, he always got dropped off halfway and walked home alone. The stress of work made him lose sleep until one day, a mysterious woman introduced him to a sleep salon. Desperate, he gave it a shot and got hooked. Xiao Ji's massage was just that good. So when he had free time again, Bai-hee returned to her place. But he was shocked to see a boy answering the door. Thinking he'd come to the wrong place, the boy quickly explained the owner was resting. Bai-hee relaxed and ordered a long session. After leading Bai-hee to the living room, the boy went to call Xiaoji, only to find her gaming. She didn't want to work and tried tempting the boy to handle it. She explained she hadn't worked in a month due to staying up late with him and that the recent in-cost had emptied her wallet, so she offered to split the money with him. That made the broke boy waver. Seeing that, Xiaoji got up, held his face, and convinced him. Despite being his first time, the boy's technique was shockingly good, though a bit lacking in pressure. Curious about his age, Bai-hee asked and was surprised to hear he was only 14. He thought the boy must have had no choice but to work. But for the boy, who had been captivated by the night ever since sneaking out for the first time, all these things were part of enjoying the dazzling nightlife. Hearing this, Bai-hee felt a strange familiarity. 10 years ago, as a junior high student, Bai-hee had also gone out shopping late at night and felt like the world belonged only to him. Still, he wanted to know why the boy didn't go to school. The boy explained that even though he was a top student, he just felt tired. He couldn't help but laugh. Even a top student can end up giving midnight massages. Bai-hee confessed he felt the same way. Whether dealing with bosses or co-workers, he always had to pretend to be cheerful. He hated the social events and company drinking parties, but couldn't avoid them. Finally, he couldn't hold back his feelings any longer. All his grievances exploded at once. But just as he was venting, the phone rang. The only one who would call this late had to be his boss, the same boss who often summoned employees to the office in the middle of the night. Bai-hee didn't want to go, but for the sake of his livelihood, he had no choice. Of course, the 14-year-old boy didn't understand these adult struggles, but he saw a reflection of himself in Bai-hee and couldn't let him go like that. He even called out Xiaoji for help. Bai-hee was stunned to see someone emerge from the wall and screamed in terror. Though Xiaoji didn't quite get what was happening, since the boy said not to let Bai-hee go, he simply obeyed and threw Bai-hee out the window. Bai-hee couldn't believe that a simple massage visit had ended with him being thrown into the night. He thought he was going to die until the boy jumped out after him and assured him it would be okay. He grabbed Bai-hee's hand and Xiaoji followed right behind, catching both of them. Though his life was safe, Bai-hee still insisted on going to the office. He said the boy was just a kid who didn't understand adult life, but the boy laid everything out. He wanted to become a vampire. Sure, getting his blood sucked every day wasn't normal, but neither was being summoned to work at 2 a.m. Since everyone was weird anyway, why not choose a way to live that made you happy? His logic was a little scrambled, but Bai-hee understood. He laughed out loud and even felt a little envious. The boy was a weirdo, wanting to become a vampire just to enjoy the night, but maybe he was a weirdo too. The boy then walked to the center of the road and shouted, "Who doesn't want to stay up late and go wild?" That's why he wanted to become a vampire. He followed him to the middle of the road just like he did years ago, and once again felt that rare sense of freedom. But after a moment, he decided he still had to go to work. He was no longer a kid. Adults didn't have many choices. Before leaving, he said, "Being a vampire must be nice." But before his voice even faded, the boy called out to him again. After Bai-hee left, Xiaoji turned to the boy with a shy smile, teasing, "You really dare to say stuff, huh? You're not even sure you'll become a vampire." After all, becoming one required something. The boy was stunned. Xiaoji was wearing more clothes than usual, but somehow looked even more seductive. He wasn't the only one who thought so. People around them couldn't stop staring. Just then, two men approached and tried to flirt. Xiaoji had planned to refuse, but when she noticed the boy's intense jealousy, she smirked and accepted their invitation. She said her friend had disappeared, and if they were buying drinks, she didn't mind keeping them company. The boy panicked, but when the men said they just wanted to make friends, he couldn't take it anymore and pulled Xiaoji away without a word. Surprisingly, the men cheered him on. After leaving the pool, the boy walked ahead in silence. Xiaoji explained it was just a joke, but he suddenly stopped and said the pool was too crowded. He didn't like it. Everyone had been judging Xiaoji's looks, and those guys just wanted to get close to her. It disgusted him. Xiaoji felt secretly happy hearing that, but didn't know how to comfort him. Then she spotted the school pool nearby, picked him up, and flew him into the air. The sudden flight scared him out of his mind. She asked, "Feeling better now?" and sincerely apologized, "Sorry, I bullied you again." The boy, of course, forgave her. That night, he snuck out again, but it started raining heavily. While hiding from the rain, he saw a JK girl being approached by someone. She rejected the man and waved to the boy. In a flash, she was by his side. She said the guy had offered to pay her for something indecent, which she turned down. But she was actually waiting for someone to approach her. Since her life was boring, she liked playing romantic games with strangers to pass time. Still, she didn't accept just anyone. The boy didn't really get it, but felt her nightlife seemed risky. She looked older than him. The JK girl didn't mind him staring and even apologized first. The boy's reactions intrigued her. She took the drink he had already sipped and drank from it too. She said her life was dull and lacked excitement. Nothing was going well, and she was tired of cooperating with others. The boy said it was okay. He felt the same. Suddenly, Xiaoji appeared and smacked the girl's arm away, angry that she dared talk to the boy without permission. The JK girl picked up her arm calmly and said rumors had been going around about a fool who was getting too close to a specific human. As she reattached her arm, It healed instantly. Xiaoji hadn't turned the boy into her kin yet, which violated vampire rules. Tired of arguing, Xiaoji yelled back. The JK girl had heard about Xiaoji's special relationship with a human and approached him on purpose. Anyone bitten by a vampire either becomes family or becomes food. If Xiaoji didn't plan to turn him, then she'd have to get rid of him. As they fought, a third vampire sister suddenly appeared and grabbed the boy. This had been her plan all along. Xiaojie was furious. The boy was taken to a new place, where 3 other vampires waited. They were shocked to learn Xiaoji was interested in someone like him. And at last, the boy began to understand what Xiaoji meant when she said vampire beauty was, all of the vampires present were incredibly beautiful, and they got straight to the point, telling the boy to choose one among them. Whoever he picked would turn him into a vampire. But they warned him that anyone who knew about vampires could become a threat, so he had to make a choice. Among Nicole, Xiaofan Luli, Robert Jum, and also considering those connected to him, like Xiaolong or the JK girl, he needed to pick one. But the boy immediately said he only wanted Xiaoji. The 4 vampires were shocked that he would reject them all and choose her. They teased that if love was a school subject, Xiaoji would fail it for life. Nicole looked personally offended. Xiaofan tried to ease the tension and told him not to worry. He'd end up liking her in the end, since Nicole wasn't into pure boys, but she, on the other hand, adored them. Nicole said she really clicked with the boy, and she was great at creating comfortable atmospheres to make guys open up. Hearing that, any man would have been flattered. The 3 of them were confident they could win him over. But the boy explained he just felt the most similar to Xiaoji. He couldn't believe someone so cute could be so unpopular. They explained that it wasn't that Xiaoji wasn't liked, she didn't want to be liked. To efficiently grow their vampire families, the others embraced popularity, but Xiaoji avoided it. Still, they all admitted they loved being liked by guys. The boy felt the atmosphere was too girly and soft, the kind Xiaoji hated the most. Everyone knew she blushed easily, but if Xiaoji refused to turn someone who loved her into a vampire, then for the boy's sake, the others couldn't just ignore it. Zhao Fan then switched to her "I'm interested in you" strategy and asked what kind of girls he liked. It was a known tactic. Many boys had fallen for her through this exact move. She would guide the conversation naturally toward him, even asking if he thought she had a chance, then purposely not letting him answer, fearing rejection. Most boys, upon hearing her words, would never say no. Even if they lied and said maybe, they'd fall for her eventually. But the boy admitted he didn't understand what liking someone even meant, so his answer wasn't directed at her specifically. Robert warned that if he didn't pick someone, he would die. Giving him a choice at all was already merciful. If he didn't want to become a vampire, he would never see Zhao Jie again. The boy froze. He realized their entire conversation hadn't been on the same page. Just as he was about to say he wanted to choose Xiao Ji, she arrived. Her face was completely red, and she told him not to talk to her. Her companions mocked her, saying this was just how cheap Xiao Ji was. They were all curious how she planned to win the boy over. Xiao Ji had never gotten close to any of them, never taken in any vampire subordinates, so Wu especially wanted to know why she treated the boy differently. He was curious what the boy's blood tasted like and even suggested they hang out sometime, but Xiao Ji fiercely warned them to stay away. Still, everyone wanted to know, why was Xiao Ji willing to spend nights with him? If possible, they'd prefer to settle the matter with romantic discussion. The boy interrupted Xiao Ji's threats and openly said she made him feel good, and he really did want to become a vampire. Even so, the others still didn't trust her, suspecting she might be tricking everyone. Nicole said she didn't see a problem. Robert explained that this was just Xiao Ji's awkward way of hiding her feelings, trying not to say "I like you" directly. It was their secret understanding. Xiao Fan, however, thought it was the least romantic thing ever. Xiao Fan thought it was completely unromantic. Xiao Fan thought it was absolutely not romantic.